So my name is Caroline. I grew up in Sydney in this little neighbourhood called Coogee. I grew up really close to the ocean, and we used to climb the cliffs, sit and watch people surf, and then climb all the way down, and just that was my school life, just fearless. So I climbed a lot in Sydney. I did it frequent enough to be proficient, but I didn't do it enough to be an expert. And here I'd been to lots of the rock climbing walls, and I climbed, and I was never scared. That's the problem. I think that was part of my problem, that I didn't have a lot of respect for myself. Not like I understand and do now. I remember looking at this dilapidated wall. It's wood panels, and they kind of tear into this triangle at the top. I remember climbing it. I remember going to the very top. I remember having a thing looking down and going, shit, this is really high. And I think I went down 1 or 2 pegs, and then the one that I had on my right hand just came off. And when I held it and it came off, then I just plummeted. And when I landed on my feet, and then I fell onto my back. And I think at the time, I didn't scream, I didn't do anything. I was really calm, but I knew I was within those first minute or so, I knew I was really fucked up. Really. Physically, I couldn't get up. So I rolled onto my right side, and I felt all of the bones in my body go one by one, and I'd never felt anything like that before. I think years and years and years of doing yoga just kicked in, and I just put both of my hands on my heart, and I just started breathing, and I was just taking these really, really deep breaths, and I feel I kind of went into a totally different world. And I have no idea how long I waited on the floor, but it felt like I was there hours. I remember tasting blood, and I remember seeing the sand in front of me, and then everything just went blurred. The night that I went into emergency surgery, so the night that I went into hospital, they said if they couldn't fix what had happened, then there was a huge possibility that I was never going to walk again. I just lay there, and I stared at the ceiling, and I disappeared. So I shattered both of my feet. On the right side, it was an open fracture to my heel bone, and it shattered into loads of pieces. On the left side, I shattered my heel bone as well, and then the bone just above it called the talus, which connects to your shin, and I shattered one of my toes. Then I had in my pelvis, my pubic bone snapped off, and then the whole bone where your hip bone is, the whole thing just shattered, and it was up much higher than it should be. I had a burst fracture to part of my spine, and then tendons that had adhered in my right foot that were fixed. And I had clawed toes, so they were also fixed as well. So I had in total about 14 surgeries, procedures. Not all of them were massive. And I had 23 blood transfusions. I think 14 of them were complete, and then the rest were platelets or plasma. One of the things that really made me keep going was the fact that so many people were there. And And I was never alone, ever in that room. There was always someone there. Immediately after I got out of hospital, I started going to physio twice a week. And then I had an osteopath that came to the house 3 times a week. And I did hydrotherapy twice a week. And then I had acupuncture every day. But yeah, I just did everything that I could at the time. I tried some ridiculous things. I went to like gong therapy and sound therapy. I think because I was so open to trying lots of different things and meeting lots of different people, I went down lots of different paths when it came to therapies. I didn't want this to be the culmination of what I had done, you know? Like, I couldn't leave it at that. Because if I left it at that, then I would never forgive myself. Then I was just determined after that, determined to do everything that I could to change. And I did. It's hard doing this on your own with your own mind. That's the hardest thing. And along the way, I wanted to find someone who was going to help my physical body. There were lots of people that were saying that they were rehab specialists, so I was like, okay, amazing. So I'd call them, and then I went to see them. And it really astounded me how many cowboys there were out there, how many people there were that were saying one thing and really was something very different. And I remember calling the physical training company and I spoke to Keith on the phone, and I was explaining to him all the injuries that I had and whether he was equipped to handle that.
And I remember she started laughing on the phone, asking me, was I scared? Was I freaking out? And I said, no, I'm not freaking out at all. I've dealt with some complex trauma stuff before. I'm just trying to absorb all of this and see what we need to do and where we need to start from.
I was a big emotional mess at the time. I started crying again, and I remember just sitting there with him and just like crying, literally. And he was like, why are you crying? And I was like, I have not met anybody who has started from here. And it was really, really refreshing. It was the first person that I'd met throughout the whole time of going to lots of different people to rehab who started in the right place at the beginning. So when I was there, I started telling him the stories of what had happened prior to me meeting him.
We started at Allo through conversations that we were just having. We both saw the same problem from 2 very different perspectives.
And this whole conversation started to come about of why is the fitness industry in the way that it is? So why are people not upskilling their services? Why are they not going out there and seeking this information if it's there? And we kind of came up with 2 things. It was people are not educating themselves because it's too expensive, or people weren't educating themselves because they had to they had to travel really far.
It's just not simply the access for people in remote cities like Dubai to continue to learn from the best in the business. We looked online and we found that there is good content out there, but it's not really education based. There's not like notes, there's not assessments, there's not that real teacher-student kind of relationship to it. It's just somebody talking in front of a camera, sharing their expertise.
So we wanted to find a way to be able to merge those 2 things. How do we bring the best education to people, but then also make it really affordable and accessible?
So we started this endeavor to create that, to make it more accessible, more affordable, and much more flexible for people to learn in their own time.
Today, it's gone from an idea that I think we really believe in to something that has a lot of potential. So we've basically looked at leading experts in the fitness industry and procured them to be on Allo so that they can show you everything that they know. They go online to a life of education, and then you look at the courses that you're interested in and you purchase them, and you can watch and learn on your phone or on your laptop. At the end of it, if you pass, then you receive a certificate. and the certificate is recognised by reps in the UAE, and it basically allows you to have that knowledge and be recognised for the knowledge that you've learned. So now we have all of these courses on there, and they look amazing and they're engaging, and it's really beautiful to see that. If I can do this for other people, then it's all worth it. Then everything was worth it. That's the reason.